Every year, thousands of women over 60 discover a truth they never expected. The greatest health risk they face isn't breast cancer or osteoporosis, it's heart disease. And yet, so many of us go through menopause never realizing that the very changes happening inside our bodies are quietly reshaping the heart that keeps us alive. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt out of breath climbing a staircase you used to handle with ease? Or maybe you've had moments of unexplained fatigue, a heavy pressure in your chest, or a strange ache in your back or jaw. Perhaps you told yourself, "It's just age catching up with me." I hear that all the time. But what if I told you those little whispers from your body might be your heart asking for help? I'll never forget one of my patients, Margaret, who was 68 when she came to see me. She thought her main concern was bone loss. But when we ran some routine tests, the results revealed early signs of heart disease. She sat in silence, stunned, and finally said, "No one ever told me menopause could affect my heart." That's the part that still breaks my heart as a doctor, not just her diagnosis, but the fact that she was never warned. I'm Dr. Lisa Perriera, a gynecologist with over 30 years of experience helping women navigate the changes that come with menopause and aging. Over the decades, I've listened to thousands of women share their stories, their worries, and their hopes. And I want to share something with you right now. Your heart is not doomed by age. You have more power than you think. In the next few minutes, I'll show you how menopause and heart health are deeply connected, the 3 silent mistakes most women make without realizing it, and the practical science-backed solutions that can protect your heart and even help it grow stronger with time. And I promise, what you'll learn today isn't complicated. It's clear, it's actionable, and it could change your health in ways you never imagined. But before we get into that, let me ask you for one small favor. If you find this message important, please click the like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you won't miss what's coming next. And share this video with a friend or sister, because these are truths every woman deserves to know. Now let's talk about the very first mistake that puts so many women at risk, and it begins with a belief that has been quietly misleading us for generations. Most women go through menopause expecting hot flashes, mood changes, or maybe a few extra pounds. What almost no one tells you is how those hormonal shifts quietly change the way your heart and blood vessels work. And that silence leads to mistakes. Mistakes I see over and over again in my office, often with devastating consequences. The first mistake is believing heart disease is a man's problem. For decades, the image we've all seen is a man clutching his chest in sudden pain. That picture is so powerful that women tend to dismiss their own risks. But here's the truth after menopause. A woman's risk of heart disease rises dramatically, and today it is the #1 cause of death for women in the United States. The loss of estrogen plays a huge role. Estrogen acts like a protective shield, keeping blood vessels flexible and cholesterol balanced. When that shield falls away, arteries stiffen, cholesterol creeps up, and inflammation begins to damage the lining of blood vessels. I remember Linda, a woman in her early 70s, who told me, "Dr. Perriera, I thought chest pain was only serious if it was crushing like in the movies. Mine was just a heaviness in my back." She almost ignored it. But what we discovered was that she was having a small heart attack. It didn't look like the dramatic scenes you see on television, but it was every bit as real and dangerous. The second mistake is brushing aside subtle symptoms. Unlike men, women's warning signs are often quiet. Instead of sudden dramatic chest pain, you might feel unusual fatigue, shortness of breath doing simple things like carrying groceries, nausea, dizziness, or even pain in your jaw or shoulder. Too often, women write these off as aging stress or being out of shape. But ignoring them is like seeing the check engine light on your car and just turning up the radio so you don't have to hear it. Eleanor, one of my patients, was a retired librarian who loved gardening. She started noticing she was winded after pulling weeds and thought I must just be slowing down. She was wrong. Her shortness of breath was her heart whispering for help. That's why I tell women, listen closely when your body speaks. If something feels new, persistent, or unusual, it's worth paying attention to. And the third mistake is clinging to old habits that no longer serve you. What worked in your 40s or 50s doesn't necessarily protect you in your 60s. I've seen women drink the same milk they grew up with, believing it was always good for their bones, not realizing that some varieties can raise cholesterol. Others assume a little belly fat is harmless, when in reality, it's strongly linked to higher heart risk after menopause. And many women give up exercise because they never needed it before, without realizing that at this stage of life, movement is as important for your arteries as oxygen is for your lungs. I like to tell my patients to picture their heart as a garden. In younger years, estrogen acted like steady rainfall, keeping the soil moist and rich. After menopause, the rain slows and the soil changes. If you keep gardening the old way, the plants struggle. But if you adapt, if you water differently, nourish the soil, and tend carefully, the garden can still bloom beautifully. And this is where I want to pause, because the next part is the hopeful one. The solutions I'm about to share are simple, effective, and they work no matter where you're starting from. And I want you to imagine this. What if one small daily choice, something as ordinary as the drink you pour each morning, could begin to heal your heart from the inside out? That's what we'll explore next. Now that we've talked about the silent mistakes that so many women make, let's turn to the part that gives me the most hope, the solutions. What I love about heart health after menopause is that it doesn't always require big, complicated changes. In fact, the most powerful steps are often simple, practical, and completely within your control. The very first step is awareness. Begin by truly listening to your body. If you notice fatigue that lingers, breathlessness when you do something simple, or discomfort that feels new or unusual, don't dismiss it. Write it down. Pay attention to when it happens and share it with your doctor. Think of it like catching a small leak in your roof early. If you notice it in time, you can fix it before the damage spreads. The second step is to rethink what you put into your glass. Many women still reach for sodas, fruit juices packed with sugar, or multiple cups of coffee, without realizing the burden those choices place on the heart. Even something as small as swapping one sugary drink for water or herbal tea can make a difference. One of my favorite recommendations is hibiscus tea, which studies from the National Institutes of Health have shown can lower blood pressure in a matter of weeks. Imagine that something as simple as changing your drink can be like giving your arteries a deep breath of relief. And I promised you earlier, a little secret. There is one overlooked daily drink that can do wonders for circulation and vessel flexibility. I'll reveal that to you shortly. But first, let's talk about the habits that build strength over time. Movement after menopause is not optional, it's medicine. That doesn't mean you have to join a gym or run marathons. It can be as simple as walking after dinner, stretching gently in the morning, or even dancing to music you love in your living room. Your arteries are like rivers. When you move, you keep the water flowing. When you sit still too long, the water stagnates and clogs are more likely to form. I remember a woman named Carol who began with just 10 minutes of walking around her block each day. At first, she was out of breath and discouraged, but she kept going, adding a few minutes at a time. Within 3 months, she was walking half an hour with ease. Her blood pressure dropped, her energy returned, and she told me, smiling, "I feel like I got my life back." Sometimes the most powerful medicine isn't in a pill bottle, it's in your shoes. Food plays its part too. You don't need a complicated diet to protect your heart. It's about small, steady changes. Adding more fiber from oats, beans, and vegetables. Choosing healthy fats from olive oil, avocados, and nuts. Cutting back on fried foods and processed meats. Each swap is like pulling a weed from your garden. The more weeds you remove, the more your heart can thrive. And then there are the long-term foundations, the quiet choices that add up to years of protection. Regular checkups, keeping track of your blood pressure and cholesterol, staying consistent with movement and nutrition, but also something many women forget, staying connected. Loneliness has been shown to raise heart risks almost as much as smoking. That means that sharing a walk with a friend, joining a book club, or simply calling someone you love can be as healing to your heart as the healthiest meal. Here's the message I want you to hold on to. Even after menopause, your body is not giving up on you. Your heart still wants to heal. If you give it the right tools, movement, nourishing food, hydration, and connection, it responds. It really does. And now it's time for that drink I mentioned earlier, the one many women overlook, yet it can quietly strengthen your heart day by day. In the next section, I'll share exactly what it is, along with the powerful stories of women who used it to transform not just their heart health, but their entire outlook on life. Earlier, I promised to reveal a drink that many women overlook, yet it has been shown to quietly support heart health. That drink is green tea. Research from the Cleveland Clinic and the NIH shows that the natural compounds in green tea, especially catechins, help blood vessels relax, improve circulation, and reduce inflammation. It isn't a magic cure, but it's one of those simple, everyday choices that add up over time. Replacing even one soda or cup of coffee with green tea is like giving your arteries a gentle gift each day. I think of Margaret, a woman who came to me at 69. She was doubtful when I first suggested green tea. She looked at me with a smile and said, "Dr. Perriera, are you really telling me that something as ordinary as tea could change my heart?" But she was willing to try. A few months later, her blood pressure readings had improved. She felt more energy during her walks, and when she returned for her checkup, her cholesterol numbers had shifted in the right direction. What touched me most was when she said, "For the first time, I feel like I'm helping my body instead of fighting it." Another woman, Joan, struggled in a different way. She had lost her husband and found herself lonely, tired, and disconnected. Her heart health was suffering, and she felt older than her years. I suggested she join a local walking group, and I encouraged her to bring a thermos of green tea to share. That simple act gave her both a healthier habit and a reason to connect with others. Months later, she told me, "I don't just feel healthier, I feel alive again." Sometimes what the heart needs is more than nutrients. It needs companionship, laughter, and care. I often explain it this way: your body is like a garden. In your younger years, estrogen acted like steady rainfall, keeping the soil rich and your plants thriving. After menopause, the rain slows, the soil changes, and weeds start to creep in. If you leave the garden alone, it weakens. But if you tend to it with new tools, watering carefully, planting fresh seeds, pulling weeds, the garden flourishes again. Your heart is no different. Even without the natural protection of estrogen, it can thrive with the right attention. The hopeful truth is this: it's never too late to nurture your heart. Even small steps, a daily cup of green tea, a walk after dinner, a meal rich in vegetables, a conversation with a friend are like seeds you plant in your garden. With time, those seeds grow into resilience, strength, and the kind of energy that allows you to keep enjoying the life and people you love. As we move into the final part of this conversation, I want to bring everything together so you have a clear path forward, because your heart deserves not only protection, but the chance to thrive for many years to come. So let's take a moment to bring everything together. We began with a truth many women never hear, that after menopause, your greatest health risk isn't cancer or brittle bones, but heart disease. We uncovered how the loss of estrogen quietly removes a shield that once protected your arteries, making them stiffer and more vulnerable. We talked about the mistakes women so often make, like believing heart disease is only a man's problem, brushing aside subtle symptoms, or clinging to habits from earlier years that no longer serve the body. Then we explored the hopeful part, the solutions that are simple, practical, and effective. Listening to your body swapping out sugary drinks for water or herbal teas, adding movement into your daily life, making gentle food changes, and remembering that social connection is medicine for the heart. We talked about how something as ordinary as a cup of green tea can improve circulation and lower inflammation. And I shared the stories of Margaret and Joan, two women who discovered that even small shifts could restore energy, strength, and joy. If there is one message I want you to carry with you, it's this: your heart is not finished growing stronger. No matter your age, it can still respond beautifully to the care you give it. Think of it as a garden. The soil may have changed after menopause, but with new tools, fresh seeds, and steady attention, it can still bloom, and you deserve that flourishing. Now I'd like to invite you to take one step beyond listening. If this conversation has been helpful, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you don't miss the videos to come. And if you know a friend, a sister, or a loved one who needs encouragement, share this with her. It might be the hope she has been waiting for. I would also love to hear from you. In the comments, tell me what's one small change you're ready to make for your heart health. Maybe it's replacing a sugary drink with green tea, adding a short walk to your day, or calling a friend to stay connected. Your answer might inspire someone else who is watching. Your heart has carried you through every stage of your life. Now it's time to give it the care it deserves, so it can carry you through many more years, filled with vitality, love, and joy. I'm Dr. Lisa Perriera, and I want to thank you for spending this time with me. Until next time, take good care of yourself, and remember, it is never too late to strengthen your heart.